Mr. Kocer, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ariana, the senior producer to Key Notions EPC, Contract Risk and Project Management, Dubai. Today with us, we have Mr. Kerem Kocer, who will be hosting a breakout session on dispute resolution. So, Mr. Kocer, could you kindly share with us a bit of sneak preview on the topic?
Sure. So EPC contracts are very, very powerful for building big projects. Most big projects today do get built by EPC contracts, and they're usually very successful. But the thing that drives EPC contracts into trouble most of the time are disputes. And disputes come up in many, many different ways. There's many different reasons for disputes, and they need to be managed very well. So it's a very, very important subject. It's often the reason, it's the reason for determining the success or a failure of a project is how many disputes come up and how the disputes are resolved. So it's a very, very important subject. That's why I'm going to talk about it in some detail in my presentation. I'm going to talk about how disputes come up, what are the main drivers, what both parties should do to avoid disputes, what the contractor should do and not do, what the owner should do and not do, and if they do come up, what's the best way to resolve them without getting them escalated further.
Okay, and what are the typical root causes of disputes in EPC contracts then?
So I would say that the main reasons for EPC contract disputes can be categorized into four, let's say, groups of reasons. One is personality clashes, just people putting their egos or personalities before the project. The second main reason would be misinterpretation, either of the contract or the communication is not clear, just misinterpretation of each other, misunderstanding of each other. I would say the second broad group of reasons would fall under that category. The third reason is hidden agendas. That's the one that's actually most difficult to deal with. And it requires introspection to deal with it. And I'm going to get into it in my presentation. And the fourth reason is basically not focusing on the project, but focusing on people or focusing on the company, and which kind of has a tendency of taking you away from what's your common goal. Of the stakeholders' common goal is, of course, to have a successful project. So if people don't focus on the project and start focusing on other things, that can very easily lead to a dispute as well. So I would say those are the four main reasons, and then what I'm going to talk about is how to avoid each of them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And in your opinion, why is proper management of potential disputes so important?
So as I touched on earlier, the dispute management and dispute resolution is probably the most important single factor for the success or failure of especially big projects. Because big projects tend to have, all the right resources. They tend to have the best minds in the world working on within that specialty or within that field, concentrated on the project. They have financial resources. They have a team of people and other, IT resources and everything that most of the ingredients to a success are there in big projects. So the biggest, again, pitfall is disputes. And disputes, in my opinion, are becoming all the more common, especially in these days when things need to move fast. So you often have situations where things are not maybe thought thoroughly or enough, or people don't spend enough time before signing of the contract or before executing the contract, talking through all the various details. Because again, there's always time pressure these days is much more than before. So disputes is becoming more and more of a bigger risk. And that's why they're so important to manage and plan for them properly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kocer. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more, you have to sign up for our EPC Dubai, which will be on 22nd and 23rd of March. The links will be shared in the description below. Thank you once again, and we look forward to meeting everyone then.
Thank you. Thank you.